April 12, 1945. Harry Truman is summoned to the White House. He thinks it's a routine meeting. It isn't. Eleanor Roosevelt puts her hand on his shoulder and says quietly, "Harry, the president is dead." Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who led America through the Depression and most of World War II, is gone. Truman is now president. He's been vice president for only 82 days. Roosevelt barely spoke to him. Truman wasn't part of the inner circle. He wasn't briefed on major decisions. He doesn't know about critical military operations or diplomatic arrangements Roosevelt made with Churchill and Stalin. He's walking into the most powerful office in the world almost blind. The next day, Secretary of War Henry Stimson asks for a private meeting. What Stimson tells him is shocking. There's a secret weapons program Truman knew nothing about. It's called the Manhattan Project. It's been running for 3 years. It cost $2 billion, an astronomical sum in 1945. Over 130,000 people are working on it at hidden facilities across America, and its purpose is to build a bomb unlike anything humanity has ever created. An atomic bomb. Truman is stunned. As vice president, he'd been kept completely in the dark about a program that consumed enormous resources and could change warfare forever. But now it's his responsibility. The scientists are close to completing the weapon. Within months, possibly weeks, they'll have a working bomb, and Truman will have to decide what to do with it. The context is critical. In April 1945, Germany is collapsing, but Japan refuses to surrender. The war in Europe will end in weeks. Germany surrenders on May 8th, but the Pacific War grinds on. American forces are island-hopping toward Japan, and each battle is bloodier than the last. Iwo Jima cost nearly 7,000 American lives. Okinawa, which ends in June, kills over 12,000 Americans and perhaps 100,000 Japanese soldiers and civilians. The closer American forces get to the Japanese home islands, the more fanatical the resistance becomes. Japanese soldiers fight to the death. Civilians commit suicide rather than surrender. Kamikaze pilots deliberately crash their planes into American ships. The pattern is clear and terrifying. If this is how Japan fights for small islands, what will an invasion of Japan itself look like? Military planners are preparing Operation Downfall, the invasion of Japan. The first phase targets Kyushu in November 1945. The second phase targets Honshu near Tokyo in March 1946. The Pentagon's estimates are grim. They expect hundreds of thousands of American casualties. Some estimates run as high as 500,000. Japanese casualties would be in the millions, both military and civilian. Truman faces an agonizing calculation. How many American lives is he willing to sacrifice to end the war? How many more months of fighting? How many more families destroyed? Every day the war continues, people die. American sailors, Japanese civilians under bombing raids, prisoners of war suffering in camps. The weight of these deaths falls on him. Then comes July 16, 1945. Truman is in Potsdam, Germany, for a conference with Churchill and Stalin. That morning, in the New Mexico desert, scientists conduct the Trinity test. The world's first atomic bomb detonates successfully. The explosion is beyond anything they imagined. It has the force of 20,000 tons of TNT. The mushroom cloud rises over 7 miles high. The light is visible for 200 miles. One witness, physicist Kenneth Bainbridge, turns to Robert Oppenheimer and says, "Now we are all sons of bitches." The news reaches Truman in code. The message is brief. Operated on this morning. Diagnosis not yet complete, but results seem satisfactory. Truman understands. The bomb works. America now possesses a weapon that can obliterate an entire city in seconds. Truman's reaction is complex. He's excited by the military possibilities. This weapon could end the war without invading Japan. It could save thousands of American lives. But there's more to his thinking. The relationship with Stalin is already deteriorating. Disputes over Poland and Eastern Europe are creating tensions. Having a weapon the Soviets don't possess gives America enormous leverage. Demonstrating American power might make Stalin more cooperative. At Potsdam, Truman casually mentions to Stalin that America has developed a new weapon of unusual destructive force. Stalin shows little reaction, but he already knows. Soviet spies have infiltrated the Manhattan Project. Stalin has been receiving reports on American progress for months. He's not surprised, but the conversation confirms what his intelligence told him. The nuclear arms race has already begun, though neither leader fully realizes it yet. On July 26th, the Allies issue the Potsdam Declaration. It demands Japan's unconditional surrender and warns of prompt and utter destruction if Japan refuses. The declaration doesn't mention the atomic bomb explicitly, but Truman knows what that destruction will be. The message is sent to Tokyo. Then they wait. Japan's response is confused and divided. The government is split between those who want to surrender and those who want to continue fighting. The military argues Japan can still inflict enough casualties on American forces to negotiate better surrender terms. The emperor is silent. Days pass without a clear answer. To American leaders, this looks like defiance. Truman consults his advisors. Secretary of War Stimson supports using the bomb but has moral reservations. He suggests warning Japan first or demonstrating the bomb on an unpopulated area. Others argue this might not be convincing enough. If Japan doesn't surrender after a demonstration, America will have wasted one of its few bombs. They only have 2 ready, and if the demonstration bomb fails to detonate, it would be humiliating and might strengthen Japanese resolve. James Bynes, Truman's Secretary of State, pushes hard for immediate use. He emphasizes the lives an invasion would cost and argues that not using the bomb would be politically indefensible. If Americans later learned Truman had a weapon that could have ended the war but chose not to use it, the political consequences would be severe. How would he explain to grieving families that their sons died when he had the power to prevent it? There's also the financial dimension. Congress appropriated $2 billion for the Manhattan Project without knowing what it was for. Security was so tight that most congressmen had no idea where the money went. If Truman ends the war without using the bomb, he'll have to explain that spending. Questions will be asked. Investigations might be launched. The political fallout could be devastating. The Target Selection Committee meets to choose which Japanese cities to bomb. They establish criteria. The cities must have military or industrial significance. They must be large enough to demonstrate the bomb's destructive power. And they must be relatively undamaged by previous bombing, so the atomic bomb's effects can be clearly assessed. Kyoto is considered but rejected after Stimson argues it's too culturally important. Hiroshima is chosen as the primary target. August 6, 1945. A B-29 bomber named Enola Gay takes off from Tinian Island carrying a uranium bomb called Little Boy. The crew doesn't fully understand what they're delivering. At 8:15 a.m., the bomb drops over Hiroshima. 43 seconds later, it detonates 19 feet above the city. The explosion releases energy equivalent to 15,000 tons of TNT. The temperature at ground zero reaches several million degrees. Everything within a mile radius is incinerated instantly. Approximately 70,000 people die immediately. Tens of thousands more will die from radiation poisoning in the following months. The city is gone. News of Hiroshima reaches Truman aboard the USS Augusta, returning from Potsdam. He's reportedly excited. He tells the crew, "This is the greatest thing in history." But Japan doesn't surrender. The government remains paralyzed by internal divisions. Some military leaders argue the bomb was a trick or that America couldn't possibly have more. 3 days later, August 9th, a second bomb falls on Nagasaki. This one uses plutonium and is more powerful. About 40,000 people die instantly. That same day, the Soviet Union declares war on Japan and invades Manchuria, crushing Japanese forces there. The combination proves decisive. Emperor Hirohito breaks the deadlock. In an unprecedented move, he records a radio address announcing Japan's surrender. Many Japanese hear their emperor's voice for the first time. On August 15th, the recording is broadcast. The war is over. Truman never publicly expressed regret about using the atomic bomb. He maintained throughout his life that it was the right decision, that it saved lives by making an invasion unnecessary. When challenged, he defended the decision vigorously. But those close to him noticed the weight he carried. The decision to kill over 100,000 people in an instant isn't something any person forgets. The consequences rippled forward. The atomic bomb ended one war but started another, the Cold War nuclear arms race. Within 4 years, the Soviet Union tested its own atomic bomb. Britain, France, and China followed. The world entered an era where humanity possessed the power to destroy itself completely. Truman's decision at that pivotal moment in 1945 remains one of the most debated in history. Was it necessary? Were there alternatives? Could Japan have been forced to surrender without atomic weapons? Historians continue arguing these questions. What's undeniable is that Truman made the choice, carried its weight.